Okay, we're gonna do 2.1.3. It's kind of a long lesson. I might break it up in pieces. The warm-up is not super duper important. It's distributive property. I'm gonna go in and talk about the lesson. The first slide says properties of graphing, and you have to be able to look at the thing to see, at the equation, to see whether it opens up or down, whether it's positive or negative. And the only part you care about is whatever's with x squared. This plus 2 and this minus 5 have nothing to do with whether it opens up or down. If the first number is positive, then it opens up, which makes it a smiley face parabola. If the first number with the x squared is negative, it opens down, and that makes it a frowny face parabola. Got it? So then this guy, negative 5x squared would open down, positive 10x squared would open up. And that's gonna come in handy so that you, when you get done graphing these big, giant equations, you can tell whether you made the chart right or not. Okay, I'm just gonna do one chart to begin with. I'm gonna do the first one. It says y equals negative x squared minus 4x plus 1. And you need to make yourself an x, y chart. And we talked about this a little bit in class before you left. I would always start with 0. I'm gonna put 0 in the middle. If I plug 0 in here, I get negative 0 squared minus 4 times 0 plus 1. That should give you 1. Okay? Then I'm going to pick whether positive land or negative land. I'm going to go to positive land first. And so I'm going to put negative 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 1. So 1 squared is 1, but there's a negative sign. So I have negative 1 minus 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1. And so that should give me a negative 4. And so now I'm going to go to negative land. So I'm going to pick a negative 1. So I'm going to do negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 plus 1. Well, negative 1 squared is a positive 1. And then you still have a negative sign out there. The subtraction sign I would treat like a negative sign. Negative 4 and negative 1 makes a positive 4 plus 1. So you have negative 1 plus 4 plus 1 should just give you positive 4. And that's really important that you know that those are not the same sign. That makes a big deal. So you're looking for the repeater. These are not repeater because those are very different numbers because one's negative, one's positive. So you're gonna pick some more. So let's go back down here to positive land and pick 2. So we get negative 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. So I have negative 4 minus 8 plus 1 gives me something like negative 11. And then you should look at this and say, hey, there's a really big jump here. Like you're going from negative 4 to negative 11 is 7 steps, and that's a lot, and you don't want a lot, so you're probably going in the wrong direction. So I'm going to spend the rest of my time going up into negative land because positive land looks like it's not going to help me. So I'm going to go to negative 2. If I do negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 plus 1. So negative 2 squared gives me a positive 4. And that negative sign is still outside. 2 negatives makes a positive 8 plus 1. So if I have negative 4 plus 8 plus 1, I get, 4 plus 1 gives me 5, which is nice because there's only one step in between that because I'm trying to get numbers that are closer together. So I'm not going down to positive 3. That's the wrong direction. So I'm going to go do negative 3. So if I do negative 3 squared minus 4 times negative 3 plus 1, I get negative 3 squared is a positive 9. Negative times a negative gives me a positive 12 plus 1. So then I get negative 9. Let's just simplify that and make it 13. So negative 9 and 13 should give me 4. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the repeater. These numbers repeat, and that's really, really important. And so then I'm done. As soon as I have the repeaters, I'm done. So then when I graph it, I'm going to go negative 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go negative 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go negative 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all you really need to have. Oh, that's a lie, because she's going to ask you all kinds of other things. Keep going. You go to 0, 1, and then you go to 1, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so then here's your graph. Now, at this point, it looks like a fish hook, but really a parabola just keeps on going to the other direction. If this is like the axis, this is like the middle. So this dot is to that line. You just go over here, and it ends up going like that. Okay, now, I know this video is getting long, but I'm not done. So you have this picture, and then she asks you a whole bunch of questions. She says, where are the x-intercepts? X-intercepts are where you cross the x-axis, it's not good. Like it's some freaky decimal here, and you're just estimating. On her paper, she estimated at 0.2, and then she estimated at negative 4.2 comma 0. That's 100% estimation. If you pick 0.1, if you pick 0.3, 0.4, doesn't matter. It's an estimation of where it is. The y-intercept is a nice number. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and you'll find out that it's right there at 1. So you have 0, comma 1. And here is a fun fact about x-intercept. Let's see if I have a different color. Is the x-intercept, this number right here, is always the number that's at the end of your equation that has no letter. Like always, every time. So if you graph this and it doesn't cross the x-axis at 1, then you were wrong. The next thing she asks for is vertex. The vertex is right here. It should also be this number that's in between the repeater. So your vertex is negative 2, comma 5. And then the last thing she asks for is the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is the line that goes through the middle of your parabola. And this is at 1, 2. So you should write x equals negative 2. And here's a fun fact about axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry, this number is always the same as the first number in your vertex. And I have one more thing. I know this problem is really long. When you get done, you need to go back to what we talked about in the very first slide. The negative x squared. Negative x squared means it should be a frowny face, and this is a frowny face parabola. And so if it went the other direction, you have to go back to your chart because you screwed up your number somewhere.